I truly believe that a child cannot consent to being on a diet the same way a child cannot consent to having sex. The so-called non-binary queer unicorn didn't state that children shouldn't be able to consent to gender reassignment as well. No, slapping a Hot Pocket out of a kid's hand does more harm somehow. What's next? Parents can't tell kids to go to school because it forces them to learn? The YouTube fitness community is overcrowded as it is. It's no surprise that someone who would compare a basic parenting duty to a statutory crime has no legal education whatsoever, or that this constantly expanding waste of space went to a university called Widener. She continued, I experience diet culture as a form of assault because it impacts the way that I experience my body. Anything that impacts her body is basically a meteorite. A healthy, sustainable diet improves the way you experience your body. It's more fun to do the two-step when you haven't lost a foot due to diabetes. She assaults her own body by eating too much and never exercising. In addition, she ignored the connection between high blood pressure and obesity and claimed that intentionally pursuing weight loss is impossible, to which one of the freshmen in attendance, who lost over 100 pounds, said, "Hold my beer." He even stayed awake long enough to point out the many ways she twisted the science that we all learned by junior high. The only time I'd ever watch a loony therapist in skin-tight clothes rant for 2 hours is if she looked like Harley Quinn. She compared the science suggesting that obesity is unhealthy to eugenics, and then compared anyone who promotes it to Yahtzees. I can't say the word she actually used because it's also found in this word. When my obese online coaching clients lift with bad form, skip workouts, or sneak in calories, I do roast them for their weakness, but not literally. Besides, encouraging a healthy lifestyle change isn't the same as trying to sterilize obese people or otherwise stop them from breeding. According to the National Institutes of Health, they're doing a fine job of that themselves. Obese men have a harder time getting it up, and obese couples have a harder time making piglets whenever they make bacon. That feel when big chunguses can't breed like rabbits. Next, she claimed that fitness contributed to the recent Christchurch shooting, and that people should challenge the rule of law and the police. The Donut Queen doesn't like police officers, and I thought Samson Fletcher avoided competitors. Specifically, she linked the Christchurch, New Zealand shooter's actions to his job as a personal trainer and an obsession with an idealized body. But if he wanted to shoot ham planets, then he wouldn't have gone to a mosque, he would have gone to a makas. Finally, she said that being expected to take responsibility for her own well-being is part of Reagan-era policies, and that her trough of slop should be subsidized. And I thought Sansa Stark had a tough time feeding giant beasts. Sonali goes by they. What do they eat anyway? Whatever they want? This is the real-world preparation that a lot of college kids are getting. Some dipshit telling them that putting kids on nutritious diets is child abuse, watching how much they weigh is oppressive, and medical science is fake news. She said to challenge authority, but not on her Instagram because you can't comment there unless you're a follower. I challenge her authority to talk about health when she promotes a destructive idea like fat acceptance. She claims to free people from social norms, but setting up vulnerable, blubbery groups to die early isn't liberating, it's predatory.
I gotta show you my gains, baby.
Tyrone loves looking at himself in the mirror so much that he even filmed this video with the image flipped. It's easy enough to fix. After all, fine china should be properly displayed.
Let me first show you what you need to have. And listen, all of these stuff they're not expensive. Just to let y'all know.
Like he pays for it.
The first thing you need is a can of tuna. Okay? And the can of tuna that I get is 87 cents. It's cheap, guys. Just to let y'all know, it's cheap. And get the water one. Get the water can tuna.
Full of water, like Tyrone's head.
Next thing on the list is eggs. I'm sure anybody can get it. Next thing is the palm oil.
Excuse me, it's Pam. It is Pam. The original Pam cooking spray does have some palm oil in it, but he's using Pam's olive oil spray, which does not. Palm oil is what Tyrone uses to season his cutting board.
It's spray palm oil. That's all what you need. Okay. And then you need your almond nuts.
I'm not going to discuss the fascinating differences between nuts and seeds, or how to classify almonds. That's not the point. They're just called almonds. There's nothing for Tyrone to add, like his family's income.
First thing I want you guys to do is just crack your eggs open, and we're gonna use 4 eggs, okay? So we're gonna use 1 full egg, 3 egg whites, just to let y'all know.
No mixed berry tartare for Tyrone. He's actually going to cook these eggs. presumably after the backlash from his salmonella shake video.
And now, I'm just gonna put the tuna in. The tuna, I'm gonna put in the eggs, straight into the eggs, straight into it.
Tyrone claims to eat a can of chunk-light tuna every day for breakfast, plus whatever seafood he eats for lunch and dinner. That feel when mercury is the only heavy metal Tyrone knows how to pick up. He shouldn't worry though. If the lead paint chips he ate as a kid and the raw eggs he eats over the course of the week haven't ended him, what's a little tuna gonna do?
Like I said, now we're going straight into the oatmeal, okay? So like I said, just make sure your stove is heated up. I'll say at least...
Heat up the palm at the Great Wall of China like Chun-Li.
At least maybe for like 5-6 minutes. Cause
Tyrone spilled it everywhere, but at least he isn't sowing his oats in a way that raises the retard population.
So now I'm gonna count. So I normally just count 10 almond nuts and just put them in, to be honest. Just 10. That's it, man. Just 10. Just to let y'all know. And everybody's eating it for breakfast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Whoa, slow down, Terrence Tyrone.
9, 10. That's it. Just 10. I don't know why, but I just like to just put 10.
We can tell you why if you promise not to block us.
This is what I'm gonna have, and now I'm gonna add water to it, just to let y'all know. Okay, just add some water to it.
Most people use a 2-to-1 ratio of liquid to oatmeal. Tyrone runs the faucet long enough to refill his mom's Brita pitcher.
I'm just gonna let the water soak up with the oatmeal bit.
Yes, water it down even more. I don't know if he's making oatmeal or a homeopathic remedy.
Okay guys, so while my eggs are cooking up, this is my oatmeal, man. This is what I'm gonna have for breakfast. Oatmeal with water.
Water with oatmeal.
And 10 almond nuts, okay?
Those runny-ass oats could barely absorb anything, like Tyrone's brain.
Let's get my eggs. Let's get my eggs. So this is my eggs. Nice and cooked. So now, pretty much, just pour it in.
He either eats his eggs raw or cooks them until they damn near fuse with the pan. The only moderation Tyrone comprehends is deleting critical comments that people leave on his videos.
There you go. I'm telling you.
Tyrone nearly forgot to turn off the stove. That house almost went from classy to ashy.
So this is it.
Ew is right. When your eggs are browner than your oatmeal, and your oatmeal's runnier than your eggs. If you ever doubted that Tyrone was slow, he took 13 minutes to explain how to make oatmeal and scrambled eggs, only to botch both dishes. He doesn't know how to cook or lift, yet continues to pass himself off as a fitness expert. It's fitting that Tyrone mirrored his video, because until he takes a look at himself and makes a change, his content will continue to reflect poorly on him.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement
Justin Trudeau's wife's boyfriend.
against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get?
Man!
P&G going after the director like,
Is it?
if that weak sauce shit's considered bullying, they're lucky I didn't go to their school. But that's beside the point. Girls bully each other just as much as boys do, if not more so. Of course, Gillette won't make a commercial about toxic femininity, because that would be sexist. It would also be 12 hours long.
Can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long.
Never mind the absence of a father figure in that house. Those kids are bad because they're manspreading and can't distinguish a Married with Children knockoff from reality.
We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
Who's the daddy? A common question if you're the type of guy to think masculinity is bad.
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Goddamn scumbag male coworker saving her ass during a meeting. She'll forgive the toxic masculinity of that pat on the shoulder when she's collecting maternity pay and that schmuck's still at the office.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Don't shit where you eat.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
P.S. I'm better than you. TYT's in this, so spitting on someone you dislike is acceptable masculine behavior.
And there will be no going back.
But play fighting isn't.
Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
Come on, that is not the kind of cockblocker Terry Crews wishes he had at parties.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
The Black Knights are 2 for 2. Apparently, it's not cool to approach women, because you can't bring an evil little misogynist into the world if you never find anyone to procreate with.
Some already are. In ways big
The dictards at Gillette don't think you're a real man unless you stop street fights in the hood. Great idea, count me in. Because the best source of valuable, timeless advice like that is a company that's known for low-quality, disposable crap.
and small.
Okay, so wrestle Mac Beggs.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay?
Because the boys watching today
Are going to look like this, especially if they're brainwashed by the feminists who don't even buy grooming and hygiene products. Gillette isn't going anywhere, no matter how many dislikes the ad gets. The best thing you can do is switch to a straight razor or a dual-edged safety razor. Either way, you get a closer shave for a lower price without the condescension and stereotyping. If the dumbasses who made this commercial want to restore Procter & Gamble's family honor, they'll either stop insulting Gillette's customers or they'll pick up their blades and slice open their abdomens. At Connecticut's Open Indoor Track Championships, 2 transgender females finished first and second in the 55-meter dash. Terry Miller finished in 6.95 seconds, winning by a head over Andrea Yearwood, who finished in 7.01 seconds. Someone with a sandy vagina finished third in 7.23 seconds. Transgender athletes have been teabagging the opposition in Connecticut high school track for the last few years, so when they say he who transplanted still sustains, they're referring to first place. Obviously, a lot of people are calling bullshit on this, but Connecticut is one of 17 states where transgender high school athletes can compete without restrictions. Yearwood said that he uses the negativity to fuel himself to run faster, as if he needed another fucking advantage. Wanting a sport to be fair isn't negative. He also says that the girls don't say anything to his face. For a guy who thinks he's a girl, he sure doesn't know how girls act, especially in high school. Of course they won't say anything to his face. Most high school dudes wouldn't either, for fear of getting their asses kicked. Any girls who confront Yearwood or Miller will get disciplined and branded as transphobic anyway. Between that and their inevitable destruction on the track, I can't blame them for only wanting to get blackballed once. Yearwood also argued that the high jumper could be taller and have longer legs than another, but the other could have perfect form and then do better. One sprinter could have parents who spend so much money on personal training for their child, which in turn would cause that child to run faster. And sprinters could be born with XY chromosomes, which would confer greater advantages over women than any of the other shit on that list. Miller said that if he felt a competitor had an unfair advantage, it would simply push him to try to improve. If he actually believed that, then he'd compete with other men like he's supposed to. Running balls to the wall means nothing against a tranny with a stick shift. Imagine training hard for years to compete at the state level, just to lose the championship and the scholarship opportunities that come with it to Shanae from Martin and Wanda from In Living Color. A year ago, I talked about the moronic rules in Texas that allowed Mac Beggs, a transgender male wrestler who's taking testosterone, to compete against and handily defeat female wrestlers. In Connecticut, like in Texas, changing the rules isn't nearly as easy as changing your gender identity. Then again, nothing is. The executive director of the organization that governs high school sports in Connecticut says that it's in no position to perform hormone testing. It doesn't look like transgender athletes will have anything to worry about for a while. Yearwood defiantly remarked on my Instagram, "Terry and I are female. If we identify as female, then that means we are female. We are allowed to run on, and we will continue to run on, the team that we deserve to run on." Let me try that. Elizabeth Warren is Native American, and I'm a YouTuber who never gets bogus copyright claims. Nuffin'. You're not a female, and you're not on the team that you deserve to run on. You're on the team that the rules allow you to run on. Your stones might give you the power to leave others in the dust, but they won't let you change reality.
Step right up here for the greatest show on earth, the Washed Up Loser Olympics 2019. Look at all these little boys and girls gathering from around the world for our amusement. I don't know if I'm watching the fittest on earth
Or it's a small world. After all, we're at the CrossFit Games. I'm Asian reporter and returning champion Elgintensity, aka Archmage Trapanitis. And they're off. This workout will cut the field from 148 men and 134 women to 75 of each, which means this Benetton ad will look like an Abercrombie ad very soon.
Now Vellner's starting to struggle with 185. He's going to fight that, and that's a no rep for Pat Vellner for the first time.
As bad as that was, Vellner really improved since last year. He learned how to do a deep lunge without snapping his neck.
He starts his fourth and final round. Vellner fails another
fails
snatch.
The second one.
He should really pace himself. Vellner's getting wasted on the green so much that you can tell this ain't Patrick's day.
If he finishes third, he earns 96 points. So only 4 back on Matt Fraser, and now another no rep for Pat Vellner here.
The judges should have reminded him that the snatches aren't legless, just the rope climbs. It must be so hot under that extra layer, but it can't be as uncomfortable as the headgear CrossFitters usually wear. International competitors like her flew thousands of miles out of pocket just to get humiliated and cut on the first day, and I thought the volunteer judges were suckers. That feel when she's kneeling on the mat but doesn't have a prayer, and she's not the only one. Of these supposedly elite competitive exercisers, only 44 men and 4 women finished in all of the heats. Most of Glassman's token minorities didn't survive the first cut like a slasher flick. Under the new format, countries can crown national champions, but obviously, they're not sending their best. Glassman might as well have called the international qualifiers the CrossFit Open Borders. Finally, something worth looking at, because that chip timer is only on one ankle. That means each sprinter has to cross the finish line with the leg that has the chip on it. I wonder why they'd use an ankle timer instead of one that goes on a bib. After all, CrossFitters bust their shins on box jumps so many times that their legs are chipped enough.
We're looking in this heat, definitely going to be Brooke Wells is another one to watch. She's actually recruited to run track and field at university level.
Bethany Shadron makes the turn just ahead of Annie Thorstadter, and Bethany Shadron looks like she might have a slight lead over Brooke Wells. We get to the pylons. Annie Thorstadter looks like she is lagging behind.
That makes 2 of you, because you didn't catch what just happened. Wells runs track, so you'd expect her to follow standard operating procedure, but she lost the turn for touching the sides.
Brooke Wells waiting to find out, and it's they're just trying to cool down and find some shade out there. And Brooke Wells is
something doesn't look right there.
Does not look happy.
No.
I know she was talking with her judge right after the event, but I don't know. We're not sure yet what kind of transpired there during her heat.
That's because Glassman fired the team that would tell you what's going on. Wells and 3 others either false started or stepped into other lanes while rounding the pylons. They got 10-second penalties in an event that they completed in under 30 seconds. By contrast, Matt Fraser only got a 60-second penalty in event 3, which took him 25 minutes to complete. He kept running after one of the sandbags fell out of his ruck. Transgenders were allowed to compete in whatever divisions they wanted this year, so I'm glad this was the only time a sack slipped out. If the judges penalized the sprint time similarly, they would have added just 1 second or so. That wouldn't have changed the outcomes of these heats, but the rules are still retarded.
As much as I love watching CrossFit, I love watching that.
Yeah,
all right, it looks like we figured out our scoring issue here.
As much as I love ironically watching CrossFit, I love watching Neanderthals struggle to place times in numerical order. Then again, it makes no sense to expect CrossFitters to excel, and no matter how much you call them out, spreadsheet software won't be on the table unless Rogue gets to sell it. After 8 events, we finally get to see barbell lifts again. I was starting to think that Glassman fired the security guards too, and the plates got stolen.
But 215 pounds is the opening weight for the women, and that
Are you
is the
sure
platform.
that's not the men's opening weight? 215?
It's insane.
Even he admits that male and female CrossFitters lift about the same. Joining us now is guest commentator Cotton Hill.
Do what you've learned all along. Don't make it too simple. Don't make it too complex. Just get up there and clean the weight.
215 for Shadburn.
You're not supposed to teabag when you're losing.
Shadburn struggling to get out of the hole.
Love the way she moves her feet. That's where you get your speed from, but it might be a little wide to come out of that. No more.
It didn't have enough left in the tank.
Of course they ran out of gas. They had to run 10 miles from their seats to the platform. Hey, I just thought of Castro's next couplet.
I can't overstate it enough. An 18-year-old out there in the top 10.
215.
That announcer really needs to shut up while people are lifting. Annoying CrossFitters with voiceover is my job.
The crowd wants you to go for it again. Looked like she had a good pull on that, Coach.
Yeah, she had a great pull, but she has no leg drive right now. It's all about speed and timing. She's got to be able to get that leg drive going. And really and truly, that bar is high enough for her to pull herself into that front squat position. But she's not mentally ready for it.
Yeah, or physically ready for it. That wasn't even a 2-trap salute.
215.
2:15 for Pierce, and she has trouble getting out of the hole.
When you're still in the hole after that much cave-in, you don't need a lifting lesson. You need a rescue mission.
A little bit more balance, and she's got it.
10 seconds.
10 seconds for Pierce. He's going to make another run at 2:15.
She's under in the top ramp, rolling back.
He said she needed a bit more balance, so after falling on her back just now, she fell on her front 2 events later.
Make it too hard, and that's what you saw from Carrie Pierce. And you can saw her fall right there, just belly flopping right on the mat.
Kips to get the work done faster, slips and turns the work in later. 3 of the top 10 missed the first lift because the better lifters got cut on the first day. If you think this is good programming, then you need to learn to code. On to the first tiebreaker.
Underway, Carrie Pierce, Bethany Shatford in the middle, and then Haley Adams closest to the camera. 5 reps at 195.
Oh, no.
What did you like about that?
I mean to laugh, but I wasn't ready for that reaction.
Oh, God.
When CrossFitters are laughing at your lifting form, it's time to stop. That scrub almost hit the floor cleaning like a neat freak.
That's a 20-point save.
She's fighting for it all right, and based on how she drives her elbows down and throws her feet out, she's using Muay Thai. Between the boring events, clueless commentators, ridiculous format, incompetent judges, disorganized production, and push for diversity over qualifications, Glassman and Company made this year's games the worst ever. He should just put the games out of its misery. I'll find something else to make fun of in August. No matter how much Glassman champions health and wellness, he'll always be remembered as a cancer to his own community.
0! Every once in a while we make some good friends. So I'd like to dedicate this next one to a good friend of mine, Elgintensity, aka Trappy Davis Jr. Everybody drugs them bodies sometime. Everybody tries the gear somehow. Something in my lips just told me my sometime was now.